بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا. طيب, inshallah we start the tafsir tonight, tafsir of Surah Al-Fatihah, the explanation of Al-Fatihah, the surah that we read in every rak'ah of every salah. And these surahs from Al-Fatihah and from Al-Zalzalah to Nas are from the surahs that we usually hear read in the salah, in the masjid, especially maybe Maghrib, the shorter surahs. And the importance of these surahs, as Sheikh Salih al-Shaykh mentioned, Hafidhullah, is in an introduction to the Tafsir of Surah Al-Mulk that he did, the Dominion number 67. And he was discussing the importance of knowing the Tafsir of those things that we hear all the time. That it's possible a person can hear the same surah read over and over and over and over and over and never understand the meaning of it, which is not something that is praiseworthy or a good thing. But at the same time, it's not something that's to be ignorant. To not know something is not something that's blameworthy. To not know something is not something that is totally blameworthy. As he said, Al-Jahlu laysa ayban. It's not aib. It's not a blameworthy thing or embarrassing to not know something. لكن الإصرار على الجهل هو العيب. But to continue to be ignorant about that thing and to continue to not know something, he said that is what is considered to be blameworthy, especially if a person has the ability to learn. If a person has the ability to learn, a person has the ability to gain the knowledge of something that is a part of their daily life, to keep going and not understand those things as something considered blameworthy. And Al-Fatihah itself, the surah itself, has a lot of rulings contained in it. This tafsir is a tafsir that is short. It's not like, the deep, detailed tafsirs of the different surah that might be found in the bigger books like Ibn Kathir or Imam al-Tabari or Qurtubi. Is not from those tafsir. It's a short, basic, which falls in line with the rest of the book, to the point, glazing over the top, to give the everyday Muslim a brief, short understanding of these surah. And to show the importance of Al-Fatihah, Fatiha is read in every rak'ah and every salah. Every rak'ah and every salah, we read Al-Fatihah. Whether the salah is an obligatory salah or from the voluntary salawat, the sunnah. Every rak'ah, we read Al-Fatihah, at the least. So you figure if you read Al-Fatihah every day, 17 times a day for every rak'ah, including all 5 daily prayers, Dhuhr, Asr, Isha, that's 12, Maghrib is 15 rak'ah, and then Fajr, 17 rak'ah in a day. And read Al-Fatihah 17 times, at least. Not including the sunnah, the rak'ah, the 2 sunnah rak'ah before Fajr, and the rak'ahs after Dhuhr, and before Dhuhr, the rak'ahs after Maghrib and after Isha, that we have to read at least Al-Fatihah. Not including the 2 rak'ah when you enter the masjid. in all the other different times that we pray, whether they're voluntary or obligatory, where we have to read at least Al-Fatihah. So it's something that at least we should have some type of understanding of this surah, being as though it holds such a heavy place in Al-Islam. So he starts off, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So he says, firstly, al-isti'adha. Al-isti'adha. Al-isti'adha is the statement, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. It's called al-isti'adha. Al-isti'adha. And he says, يشرع الاتيان بها في كل مرة يتلو فيها المسلم كتاب الله تبارك وتعالى. That is legislated that a person should read the isti'adha every time that they read the Quran. Every time a person reads the Quran, it's legislated that they should read al-isti'adha first. And that is going to explain why. Firstly, does anybody know what al-isti'adha is for? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Huh? Seeking refuge. Tayyib. What do you mean by seeking refuge? Seeking forgiveness. Tayyib. Huh? Anybody else? Seeking refuge from the shaitan. What is refuge? What do you mean by refuge?
So that protection.
Huh?
Protection of Allah.
Okay.
So that he doesn't like confuse out.
Hey, Sahih. That he doesn't confuse, that the shaitan doesn't bother you or distract you. Seeking protection. And all of that falls on. So you're not distracted. So he won't confuse you in your reading. He won't busy you to think about something else while you're reading. Al-isti'adha. Right? And that is the point of the isti'adha. Is the seeking, is always translated seeking refuge, but make sure we know what we mean by seeking refuge. Protection.
So specifically it's protection.
Protection from, and protection is a lot of things in it. So you're not distracted. Right? Shaitan might busy you. As soon as you start to try to do some worship, the shaitan busies you with something. You get sleepy automatically. As soon as you sit down and start reading, you get tired. Right? Or you start thinking about the bill that you were supposed to pay yesterday, but it's really due next week. Anything to keep a person from being busy with the worship of Allah. It's his job, the shaitan. So he says, وَالْإِسْتِعَادَةُ إِلْتِجَاءٌ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَطَلَبٌ مِّنْهُ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى أَنْ يُعِيذَ عَبْدَهُ وَأَنْ يَقِيَهُ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Is that a person seeks Allah's protection, that they turn to Allah seeking His protection, that Allah protect them from the shaitan. This protection could be in many ways, as we just mentioned. That a person is seeking protection. They're seeking Allah's protection from the distractions that the shaitan might put in front of a person. And every person may have their own, he may be tested with something different. Everybody may not be tested with something monetary. Somebody might be tested with their wife, right? Their children. It could be anything that distract a person from the focus, their focus, which is worship. He says, وَإِنَّمَا شُرِعَتْ الْإِسْتِعَادَةُ بَيْنِ يَدَيْ تِلَاوَةِ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ لأن الشيطان أشد ما يكون حرصا على الصرف العبد عن هذا الكتاب العظيم. Again, a person should read the isti'adha firstly, because at this point, the shaitan, the devil, is working full time. He's working at his highest point in order to distract the person from getting any benefit from this book. So, in simple terms, he's working overtime, super hard, to distract the person from benefiting from the Quran. He says, and he's working hard to distract them from al-fawz bihidayatihi, that a person gains guidance. He wants to distract a person from gaining guidance from the Quran. And this is all in the statement, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. This is not even in the Fatihah yet. Al-Isti'adah, before the Basmalah. He said he wants to distract them from al-wuquf ala ma'anihi wa madaminihi wa ta'athuru bih. And he wants to distract the reader, the person, from pondering and reflecting over the ayat, over the meanings of the Quran, and being affected. All of these things are things that the shaitan wants to distract the Muslim, the person who's sitting to read and benefit from the Quran. He wants to distract the person from pondering and reflecting. What does the ayat mean? What is Allah saying in this ayat? His job is to distract the person. As he said, he'll come from, in the Quran, he'll come from all different ways for the slave, to wait on the path. So he wants to distract the person from gaining any benefit from the Quran. فشرع للعبد أن يستعيذ بالله من هذا الشيطان حتى تكون قراءته لكتاب الله قراءة سالمة من وساوس الشيطان وهمزه ونفخه محفوظا بحفظ الله. So we read this al-isti'adah, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. We say this firstly so that our reading, our qira'ah of the Quran will be safe from any whispers and distractions from the shaitan. This is the point of it. It's not something that we just say in the front of it because that's what everybody says. It's the point of saying it. Al-isti'adah. So that we're not distracted when we're reading. We're not distracted from, number one, the qira'ah, reading it correctly. We're not distracted from, number two, reflecting on the meanings of the ayat, so that we're not just reading the Quran like it's a magazine or like it's a regular book, but that we read the ayat and ponder and reflect over the meanings. Reflect over the meanings. And the shaitan, as he said, مَا يَكُونُ حِرْسًا عَلَى الصَّرْفِ الْعَبْدِ. He's working hard to distract the person from gaining these benefits from the Quran. This is al-isti'adah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. الشيطان أي العاتي المتمرد الغاوي. The shaitan, the arrogant, tyrant, rebellious, the one who comes with the temptation to a person. الصاد لهم عن طاعة الله. The one who wants to block. The one who wants to block the believer from obeying Allah Jalla wa Ala by any means necessary. And it's not that he always comes with something that is haram. It's not that the shaitan could always come with something that is haram. He could come with something that is haram to distract the person, but he could come with something that is halal, something permissible that may distract the person from focusing on their worship, which could be a person's wife, or the wife, their husband, or the children, right? Or friends. Everybody has a different fitna. Everybody has a different trial. So you never know which way a person may be tested. It doesn't necessarily mean that a person will be tested with something that is haram all the time. Like a shaitan, and then he's described, a shaitan is described as al-rajim. Al-rajim. Al-rajim, al-matrud, al-mub'ad, al-mal'oon. The one who, al-rajim. So a shaitan is considered al-rajim, as it says, the accursed. The one who is cursed. The curse of Allah is on the shaitan. Al-mal'oon. الذي أبعده الله subhanahu wa ta'ala min rahmatihi. And this is the meaning of a Latin, the curse. If the curse of Allah is on someone, then that means what? That person has been removed, put pushed away from Allah's mercy. And that in itself is heavy enough that the curse doesn't mean a curse like we know the curse word, bad words, but the curse is that a person is removed, they're pushed further away from the mercy of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he made dua, and he said, the curse of Allah be upon the person who does this. And he said, the curse of Allah be on the person who does this. An authentic hadith, many authentic hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ said, the curse of Allah is upon these people who do these actions. And a lot of these actions are now widespread, and a lot of them are trendy now. They're trendy. A lot of them are the trend. So we don't just see non-Muslims doing them, we see the Muslims also doing them. As if the statement of the Prophet ﷺ cannot be implemented, or as if it's not the truth. The Prophet ﷺ said, La'an Allah, or La'nat Allah. He said, on, as we find now, the one who gets tattoos. The curse of Allah be upon the one who gets tattoos. In Sahih Bukhari. And in Sahih Bukhari also, the woman who attaches fake hair to her hair. We know as extensions. Right? A lot of things that are fads now, it's the trend now, but the Prophet ﷺ, he spoke about them. He spoke about them, ﷺ, and he warned us against them. And in some of those things, he even mentioned that the curse of Allah is upon the person who does it and the person who gets it done to himself. So it's a serious situation that the curse of Allah is upon certain actions that we need to be careful of. And the shaitan, he is described as being cursed. Ar-Rajim, the cursed one. He is the one who has been pushed far away from Allah's mercy. So he says, وَلَمَّا كَانَ مُبْعَدًا عَنِ الرَّحْمَةِ أَرَادَ أَنْ يُبْعِدَ عِبَادَ اللَّهِ عَنْهَا. So the fact that the shaitan has been pushed away from the mercy of Allah, he wants to pull us away from Allah's mercy. Therefore, he comes and entices us with temptations to follow his footsteps instead of following the guidance in the Quran. So for this reason, the person should say al-isti'adha before the qira'ah, before reading the Quran. As he is the shaitan الذي يعمل على صرف الإنسان عن طاعة الله وعبادته والفوز برحمته. As he is the one who is striving to pull the people, to pull us away from obedience. As he wants to pull us away from obeying Allah Jalla wa Ala, and away from worshiping Allah, and away from gaining Allah's mercy. As he has been pushed away from Allah's mercy, and his goal is to pull us away from Allah's mercy. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which is referred to as Al-Basmala. 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 So al-Isti'adha is to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Wal-Basmala is to say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And he says, Al-Basmala ayatun min kitabillahi azza wa jal. The Basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is an ayat, it's considered to be an ayat from the Quran. يُؤْتَى بِهَا بَيْنِ يَدَيْ تِلَاوَةِ كُلِّ سُورَةٍ Surah Al-Bara'ah. That it comes in the beginning of every surah except for Surah Al-Bara'ah, Surah Tawbah. وَالْبَسْمَلَةِ هِيَ كَلِمَةُ الْإِسْتِعَانَةِ بِاللَّهِ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى. Even the Bismillah in itself, when we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it says here, kalimatu isti'anatin billah. It is a word that is said seeking Allah's aid, seeking Allah's help. So after we already said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, we seek Allah's protection from being distracted by the shaitan, then we come with the Basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And the meaning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim بدء التلاوة بالبسملة أي أن من يتلو كتاب الله يبدأ تلاوته مستعينا بالله. That the person who begins to recite the Quran, that they begin with the basmala, seeking Allah's help and assistance. That he's not distracted, that he reads or she reads correctly, that they make tadabbur, reflect on the ayat in the Quran. All of these things are contained in seeking Allah's aid. That Allah gives us understanding of what we read, that He protects us from deviating away from the maqsood, the intent behind the ayat, all of these things. So the basmala itself is also a kalima that holds a meaning that a person is seeking Allah's help. Seeking Allah's help while reading the Quran. Because the ba that is contained in the word Bismillah, the ba with the kasra, Bismillah, that ba, he says, ba'ul isti'ana. It is used in Arabic to show that someone is seeking help with something. Ba'ul isti'ana. He says also, mutabarrikan bidhikri ismihi tabaraka wa ta'ala. Also, a person is seeking barakah, to seek blessings, to seek Allah's blessings, just by mentioning His name. Just by mentioning His name. طيب. And this is the basmala. So al-isti'adha is a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And the basmala is bismillahir rahmanir rahim. And there's a lot of issues, masail fiqhiyya, connected to the basmala. We'll try to just mention some of them at the end, inshallah. طيب. The name Allah. The name Allah. This is one of Allah's names, as we all know. وَمَعْنَاهُ ذُو الْأُلُوهِيَّةِ وَالْعُبُودِيَّةِ عَلَى خَلْقِهِ أَجْمَعِينَ. The one who is deserving of worship. The one who is deserving of worship. This is Allah. One of His names, Allah, that name means the one who is the Sahib al-Uluhiyyah. He is the one deserving to be worshipped. He is the one that is deserving of all worship. And two other names are mentioned. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. So we have Allah's name, number one. Then we have two more names. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Three names of Allah mentioned in Al-Fatihah. The name Allah, Bismillah, Allah, that name is one. Ar-Rahman is another name, and Ar-Rahim is another name. طيب. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, which is usually translated as the most gracious and the most merciful. Isman mushtaqan min ar-Rahma. They both come from the word meaning ar-Rahma, carrying the meaning of mercy. Dalani ala thubutiha lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. So both of these names show that these descriptions are descriptions that can be attributed to Allah. That Allah is most merciful and He's most gracious, if we'll say. So we know that these are two descriptions of Allah. Ar-Rahman, and He is also Ar-Rahim, as they come in the Quran. Tayyib. They carry different meanings. One meaning is a little more general than the other meaning. Ar-Rahman. The name Ar-Rahman, فهو دال على الرحمة الواسعة الشاملة. Then Ar-Rahman points to the wideness and the expansive mercy of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And this mercy with this meaning of this name Ar-Rahman, it is inclusive of all of the creation. All of the creation. That the mercy of Allah is upon all of the creation with the name Ar-Rahman. As Allah said in the Quran, in Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 156, قال تعالى وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. And my mercy covers all things. All things. And that is inclusive of the Muslims and the non-Muslims. Everything is covered in the rahmah of Allah. As far as Ar-Rahim, dalun على ما خص الله تبارك وتعالى به أولياءه وأصفياءه. That this name, that the mercy of Allah in this meaning, Ar-Rahim, is specific for the awliya Allah. The awliya, which is usually translated as friends or those close to Allah, right? Based on the ayat, there's a little deeper meaning. Allah says in the Quran, Surah Yunus, ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. In Surah Yunus, ayat 62 and 63. Allah described those who are the awliya, those who are close, or sometimes it's translated as the friends. He mentioned two descriptions. Shaykh al-Islam rahimahullah Ibn Taymiyyah said, من كان مؤمنا تقيا كان لله وليا. A person becomes a friend or close to Allah by fulfilling the two descriptions that come in the ayat. Allah said, الذين آمنوا, those who believe, وكانوا يتقون, and that they have taqwa of Allah. Those people who believe and have taqwa of Allah are the ones who Allah is, or that name Ar-Rahim applies to. As Allah says in another ayat, وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحِيمًا. In Surah Al-Ahzab, ayat number 43. And Allah said, and He is merciful with the believers, with the name Ar-Rahim. He didn't say Rahman, but the name Ar-Rahim. وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحِيمًا. So with the believers, the name or the description that is used is Ar-Rahim. As far as the general rahmah with all of the creation, the name that is used is Ar-Rahman. So Ar-Rahim is a little more specific as it's used for the believers and those who fear Allah Jalla wa Ala. Tayyib. Allah says, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Which we say all praises for Allah. But alhamd, the word alhamd, هو الثناء على الله مع الحب له جل وعلا. It is that a person praises Allah and at the same time they have love. They show their love for Allah Jalla wa'ala. That they show their love for Allah Jalla wa'ala. That they praise Allah and at the same time they have love. That love along with that praise. And Allah is praised for the blessings that He gives us and the different names and attributes that He has, and all of the blessings that we have that Allah gives us that are not even countable, that we can't even count. So all the praise is due to Allah Jalla wa Ala. Then He says, قال تعالى رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين. يعني خالقهم ومالكهم المدبر لهم المتصرف فيهم لا شريك له في شيء من ذلك. That Allah, He is رب العالمين, which is translated as the Lord of all of mankind. Meaning, He's their creator and their master. He's the creator of all of mankind. He's the master of all of mankind. He is the one that is in control of everything. He's the one that is in control of all of the affairs. لا شريك له في شيء من ذلك. And He has no partner in any of those. He has no partner in creating the creation. No one helped. He doesn't need any help in creating the creation. He doesn't need any help in controlling of all of the affairs of mankind. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Al-Alameen, which is translated as mankind, right, or the creation. Al-Alamun man siwa Allah. Allah is not from the creation. Allah is not from the creation. Allah is the creator. And everything and everyone else besides Allah is considered to be from the creation. Allah is not from the creation. Allah is the creator. And everyone and everything besides Allah is considered to be from the creation. So Al-Alameen in the ayat, Rabbil Alameen, He is the Lord of all of the creation. And then He says, Qala Ta'ala, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the same two names that were mentioned previously. That one is general, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahma is general for all of the creation, and Ar-Rahim, that mercy, that merciful, is khas, is khasa, that it is specific for the believers who have fear of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Then Allah says, Maliki Yawmiddin, Maliki Yawmiddin. Wa fi qira'ah, Maliki Yawmiddin. There's two different ways to pronounce it, to read the ayat. Either one, Maliki Yawmiddin, with the long alif, Maliki Yawmiddin, or it can be read Maliki Yawmiddin, with the short vowel, Maliki Yawmiddin. Both are okay. Both are permissible to read, either Maliki Yawmiddin or Maliki Yawmiddin. The Lord of Ad-Din, Yawmuddin, the Master of the Day of Judgment. Tayyib. So it's not a problem if we hear a person read Al-Fatihah with elongation in Maliki Yawmiddin, and if a person comes and they read it with Maliki Yawmiddin. Both are okay. And Yawmiddin is usually translated as the Day of Judgment. Yawmul Jaza, the day of recompense or reward, when everyone will receive their reward. Or Yawmul Hisab, when everyone, the day of, that everyone will be held accountable for their actions. The Deen or Hisab. The Deen, and this ayah means Al-Hisab. The day when everyone will be held accountable for their actions and their statements. And this is something, belief in Yawm al-Qiyamah, belief in the last day, is from the usul al-Iman, from the foundations of Iman, the pillars of Iman, the pillars of faith, is that we believe that there's a last day, Yawm al-Qiyamah, when every person will be held accountable for their statements and their actions. And this is from the basic and fundamental beliefs of every Muslim, that every Muslim must believe in the last day. The day when everyone will be held accountable and everyone will receive their reward or their punishment. And this is, it says, وَهَذَا فِيهِ خَوْفٌ هذا فيه الخوف من الله جل وعلا ومن لقائه والوقوف بين يديه. He said, in this ayat shows that a person should have fear of Allah Jalla wa Ala. That a person should have fear of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and fear of that day of standing before Allah and meeting Allah and standing before Him to be held accountable for his or her sins. As Allah said in the Quran, كما قال جل وعلا وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. And what will make you know what is Yawm al-Din. ثُمَّ مَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. He says again, and what will let you know what is Yawm al-Din, what is the day of judgment, the day of recompense when everyone will be held accountable. يَوْمَ لَا تَمْلِكُ نَفْسٌ لِنَفْسٍ شَيْئًا. That day when no person will be able to protect his own self or her own self. They will have no control over the situation. لا تملك نفس لنفس. No person will be able to benefit another person. That everyone will stand on their own, with their own book of deeds. As Allah says in another ayah, that every person will come with their book of deeds attached to their necks. That every person will come with their book of deeds attached to their necks. And it will be said, read your book. اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. That every person will come with their book, and it will be said, read your book. Read your own book. Now somebody else is going to read your book. That every person will be set to read their own book, and that will be enough. You read your own book. When we read our own book, that we will be enough as a witness against our own selves on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That Yawm al-Qiyamah is a real day, and that we have to prepare for Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allah says that no person, no soul will be able to benefit another soul. Then He says, قال تعالى وَالْأَمْرُ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلَّهِ. And that day, all the affairs will be controlled by Allah Jalla wa'ala. That no person will be able to benefit another person. And there are other ayat where Allah says that a man will run and flee away from his wife, and he will flee away from his children. That every person will be worried about their own self. Everyone will be worried about their self, and that they will flee. They will run. They will be running. People will be running away from the people who are most beloved to them. Those people who we love the most, that people will run away from on Yawm al-Qiyamah out of fear and out of the seriousness of the day, and that every person will have to stand and be judged and held accountable for their actions and their statements. In the next ayah, قال تعالى إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. And he brings 4 different benefits from this ayah. إياك نعبد, you alone we worship. وإياك نستعين, and you alone we seek help. He says فيها, in this ayah, إخلاص العبادة والاستعانة لله جل وعلا. In this ayah, that a person sincerely makes their worship for Allah Jalla wa'ala. That a person sincerely seeks Allah's help only. As Allah says, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, meaning أُخْلِصُ لَكْ عِبَادَتي, that I purify and I make my worship sincerely for you, O Allah. فَلَا أَعْبُدُ غَيْرَكَ, that I don't worship anyone or anything other than you, O Allah. And that is contained in the words إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, meaning I make all of my worship sincerely for you, Allah, and I don't worship anyone or anything other than you. Then after that we say وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, and you alone, and we seek your help alone, meaning أُخْلِصُ إِسْتِعَانَتِي لَكْ بِكَ, that I sincerely seek my help. I seek help from you, O Allah. فَلَا أَسْتَعِينُ بِأَحَدٍ سِوَاكَ, that I don't seek help from anyone else. That I don't seek help from anyone else. He says, secondly, in the same ayat, وَإِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, he says, بَرَاءَةٌ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ is that a person frees themselves from any type of shirk, from any type of putting partners with Allah Jalla wa'ala. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship, meaning we don't worship anyone or anything besides Allah. And then in the statement, وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, he says this, in this statement, you alone or your help or your aid we seek only. بَرَاءَةٌ مِنَ الْحَوْلِ وَالْقُوَّةِ, that a person frees himself from having any strength, that all the strength comes from Allah Jalla wa'ala. And we seek Allah's aid, we seek Allah's help. That the strength that we have to do the worship, the strength that we have to stand and do the worship, that strength comes from Allah Jalla wa'ala. That it's not on our own accord. It's not on our own accord. It's not based on our own strength, but that it comes from Allah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, we seek Allah's help. And this is a dua. We're seeking Allah's help in every rak'ah. We're praising Allah with these ayat in every rak'ah that we make every day, at least 17 times a day, at least. We're going through this at least 17 times a day. It says, thirdly, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship. He says this is a person actualizing and bringing to life the statement La ilaha illallah. This is the meaning of La ilaha illallah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship. The meaning of the Tawheed, La ilaha illallah, that none is deserving of worship except Allah. And we say it in the form of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you are the only one we worship. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ is the realization, and it brings forth the statement La hawla وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, that there is no might nor strength except by Allah, because we say to Allah, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, you alone we seek your help and your aid. So the help and the assistance and the aid comes from Allah Jalla wa Ala, not from our own strength. It's not us alone. But we seek Allah's aid firstly, and then we carry out our actions to the best of our ability. Fourthly, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ فِيهَا الْخُلُوص مِنَ الشِّرْكِ وَالرِّيَاءِ. When we say you alone we worship, this means we purify and we make our worship sincere, and we remove any shirk or any showing off in our worship. Because we say, إِيَّاكَ, you alone, إِيَّاكَ meaning you alone and no one else. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship. So this means we remove, we don't perform any act of worship, from fasting, salat, hajj, umrah, reading the Quran, that none of these things are done to show off. Because we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship, and all of these things are forms of worship. So if all of these things are forms of worship, then everything that we do regarding worship is seeking Allah's reward, and that we don't show off when we do these things, and that we don't do any of these things for other than Allah, as that would be shirk. He says, وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ فِيهَا خُلُوصٌ مِنَ الْعُجُبِ وَالْكِبْرِيَاءِ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, and you alone we seek help. We have purified, is seeking to purify ourselves from self-amazement and from arrogance. That we're trying to purify ourselves from being conceited, from being arrogant. As we know that, لَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, there's no might, we have no strength, except that Allah Jalla wa Ala gives us might, and He gives us strength. And He gives us tawfiq, He gives us the success to be able to stand, to pray, and worship Him, that it comes from Him, that is not on our own. That is not on our own accord. And at the end, the ayat, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, guide us to the straight path. And this in itself, this ayat in itself, is a dua that we make, 17 times a day. Guide us to the straight path. That a Muslim makes and asks Allah every day, at least 17 times a day, for guidance. For guidance. The meaning of the ayat, دُلَّنَا وَوَفِّقْنَا يَا اللَّهِ لِسُلُوكِ هَذَا الصِّرَاطِ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ وَاتِّبَاعِهِ. That we say, oh Allah, please guide us and show us this straight path, and show us the path so that we can follow it. And this is a dua that we make in every rak'ah. Every rak'ah we ask Allah for guidance. Every rak'ah we ask Allah for guidance. So we have to be mindful that Al-Fatihah is not just something we have to read in the salah, but all of the meanings contained inside the salah, and contained inside of Al-Fatihah, that we say every day, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We say, oh Allah, guide us to the path. Guide us to the path, the straight path, and guide us to that path. As Allah says in another ayah. Allah says in another ayah, قال تعالى, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ. Allah says, and this is my straight path, so follow it. Follow my straight path. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. And don't follow the other paths, as those other paths will take you away from the straight path. And that is in Surah Al-An'am, ayah 153. That is in Surah Al-An'am. Surah Al-An'am, ayah 153. Allah says, and this is my straight path, so follow it. It's a command to follow the guidance of the Quran. And this straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim, what is the Sirat al-Mustaqim? Huwa deen Allah, alladhi aradiyahu li-ibadihi. This straight path that we ask Allah for guidance is the religion of Al-Islam that Allah is pleased with for His slaves. وَلَا يَرْضَى لَهُمْ دِينًا سِوَاهُ. And Allah is not pleased that a person follows anything other than Al-Islam. Anything other than Al-Islam, which shows the importance of learning the foundations and the basics of Al-Islam. How do we follow something if we don't know what it is? Impossible. It's impossible to follow the hidayah, the guidance of the Quran, if we don't read the Quran. The guidance is in the book. The book is not for decoration. It's not for decoration, but the book is guidance. And if we're not following the guidance, but if we're using the book for other than its intended purpose, for decorating, whether it's walls, clothes, because now we find the thing now is a lot of Arabic written on clothes. If the guidance, if we're not following the guidance, the Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith, Al-Quran hujjatan lak aw alayk, that the Quran will be a proof for you or against you. The Quran will be a proof for us or against us. So if we're not following the guidance, then it's possible, we ask Allah to protect us all, it's possible that we show up Yawm al-Qiyamah and the Quran is a proof against us for not implementing the Quran, for not implementing the guidance. And the Quran leads us to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. As Allah said in another ayah, قُلْ إِن تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي. Tell them, say Muhammad, tell them, if you love Allah, then follow me, meaning follow the Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam. So the Quran leads us back to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So one, they go hand in hand. The Quran and the Sunnah go hand in hand. طيب. So we say, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We ask Allah every day, making this dua, guide us to the straight path. And then He describes the straight path. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Those who you have put your favor upon. Meaning, النبيين, from the prophets, والصديقين, and the truthful people, والشهداء, and the martyrs, والصالحين, and the righteous people. He says, وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. And those, it's enough that when we make dua, when we ask Allah to guide us to the straight path, we're asking Him to put us on the path of the messengers, put us on the path of the prophets, put us on the path of the truthful, put us on the path of the righteous. This is the dua that we make at least 17 times a day. Guide us to the straight path, the path of the prophets, and the path of the messengers, and the path of the righteous, and the path of the truthful. We're asking Allah to put us on that path. And those people, مَنْ جَمَعُوا بَيْنَ الْعِلْمِ النَّافِعِ وَالْعَمَلِ الصَّالِحِ. Those people who have gathered between, they've made a combination between beneficial knowledge and actions. That the people who are on the straight path, they have made a combination between beneficial knowledge and righteous actions. Not just having a bunch of knowledge and not implementing it. La yanfa, it's no benefit. It could be a proof against the person that a person has knowledge of something and that they don't implement the knowledge that they have. But that a gem, a combination is placed on learning beneficial knowledge and righteous actions. That one goes with the other. فَإِنَّ الْمُنْعَمْ عَلَيْهِمْ هُمْ أَهْلُ الْعِلْمِ وَالْعَمَلِ. Those people who Allah's favor is on are the people who have knowledge and they act on that knowledge. They have knowledge and they act on that knowledge. And this is the dua that we make every day. This is the dua that we make every day in Al-Fatihah. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Guide us to the straight path. The path, which path? صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. The path of those who you have placed your favor upon. And those people are the prophets and messengers, the righteous, the truthful, all of those people. We want to be on their path. We want to be on the path of the righteous. And then Allah describes the path that we don't want to be on. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. Not the people, not the path that we do not want to be on, the path of the people who your anger is upon. The people you're angry with. The people that Allah is angry with, we don't want to follow in their footsteps. وَهُمْ الْيَهُودِ, meaning the Jews in this case. But he says not just them. وَمَنْ سَلَكَ نَهْجَهُمْ مِمَّنْ يَعْلَمْ الْحَقِّ وَلَا يَعْمَلُ بِهِ. He said, and anybody who follows the footstep of the Jews, or follows their way, which was that they knew the truth, that a person knows the truth, and they don't follow it. Or that a person knows the truth, and that they don't act on it. We ask Allah every day to protect us from being from those people. To protect us from being from the people who know something is the truth. We know it's right, and we don't act on it, based on whatever reason. As we find now, some people are scared. Scared to follow the truth. Some people are scared to be isolated. And sometimes the truth, sometimes following the truth isolates you. It puts you on an island by yourself. Sometimes it happens like that. But we make dua and Al-Fatihah every day that Allah protects us from following that way. مَنْ سَلَكَ نَهْجَهُمْ مِمَّنْ يَعْلَمُ الْحَقِّ وَلَا يَعْمَلُ بِهِ. That Allah protects us from following the way of the people who knew the truth. They know the truth, and that they don't act on the truth. And that comes in غَيْرُ مَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. غَيْرُ مَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. Because we ask Allah to put us on one path, the straight path, which is the path of the messengers, and the truthful people, and the righteous people, and those, the martyrs. And then we ask Allah to protect us from falling in two different categories. The first category is this one, the people who know the truth, but they don't follow the truth, they don't act on it. In the second category, what we say every day, وَلَضَّالِينَ وَلَضَّالِينَ وَهُمَ النَّصَارَى. The Christians, don't make us like the Christians. Right? But we say this every day. This is a dua that we make every day, 17 times a day. Don't make us like them, and don't make us like them. Why? They knew the truth and they didn't follow it. They knew the truth and they didn't follow it. In the second group, he says, وَمَنْ سَلَكَ مَسْلَكَهُمْ مِمَّنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهِ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى بِغَيْرِ بَصِيرَةٍ وَلَا عِلْمٍ. And don't make us of the people who worship with no knowledge. We worship and we do actions and we do this and we speak about this. And we call to things and we worship and we worship and we worship, but we do it without knowledge, which was the way of the Nasara, the Christians, that they didn't have knowledge, but they worshiped based on ignorance. They didn't have knowledge. So these are two different pathways, two different paths that we ask Allah every day in every salah, whether it's an obligatory salah or it's a voluntary salah. We ask Him to put us on the straight path, which is one path. We ask Him to protect us from two different things. Number one, protect us from knowing the truth and not following it. Don't make us like those people who know the truth, but they don't follow the truth. And number two, don't make us of those people who perform actions without any knowledge. That we do things and we don't have any knowledge of what we're doing. That He protects us from both as the middle course. Al-Islam is the middle course. Al-Islam is the middle course. And he says, وَالْمَقْصُودِ. The intent behind these last couple of ayat, التحذير من علماء السوء وعباد الضلال. It is a warning. In these last two ayat, it is a warning from evil scholars. Ulama as-su, meaning people, they have knowledge, but they don't act on the knowledge. It's a warning from having knowledge and not acting on the knowledge. And it's also a warning from ubad al-dalal, from people who have a lot of worship, but they're ignorant. They may not have knowledge. Sometimes we say if a person does a lot of worship, they must be knowledgeable, right? Which is not always the case. This doesn't necessitate that a person has knowledge because they do a lot of worship. Because a person prays a lot extra doesn't mean that they have knowledge. They mean they do a lot of worship. Inshallah is accepted, inshallah is correct, but it doesn't necessitate that they have knowledge. A lot of fasting doesn't necessitate that a person has knowledge. Because there were people, and there were fine people Huh? They're upon misguidance, but they have a lot of worship. They do a lot of worship. They do a lot of worship. Even in the hadith of the Khawarij, that the Sahaba said, when we look at their salat and look at our salat, they compared their salat to the salat of the Khawarij. One of the first groups of innovation, the Khawarij. Then the Prophet ﷺ described them and said they're going to leave Islam as fast as a bow goes out of an arrow. Right? They weren't upon the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah, they had a lot of worship, but they weren't upon guidance. They weren't upon guidance. So, tons of worship doesn't always equal knowledge. A lot of worship doesn't always equal knowledge. He says, كما قال سفيان ibn Uyayna. As Sufyan ibn Uyayna said, one of the imams of the Salaf, Sufyan ibn Uyayna. We have Sufyan al-Thawri, then we have Sufyan ibn Uyayna. He said, من فسد من علمائنا كان فيه شبه من اليهود. Whoever is evil from amongst our scholars, and he has taken on a trait from the Jews. Whoever is evil from amongst the knowledgeable people, he's taken on the trait of the Jews, of having knowledge and not implementing the knowledge. وَمِنْ فَسَدَ مِنْ عُبَادِنَا كَانَ فِيهِ شَبَهٌ مِنَ النَّصَارَى. And whoever is evil from our worshippers, the worshippers who have gone astray, they've taken on a characteristic of the Christians, of having a lot of worship with no knowledge. Having a lot of worship with no knowledge. And all of this comes under غَيْرُ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِينَ. That Allah protects us from being in two groups. Number one, either having knowledge and not acting on the knowledge, or number two, acting on something without knowledge. And both are found in Al-Fatihah, a dua that we make, and we ask Allah to protect us from both of those groups every day. طيب. He says lastly, طيب. He mentions a few different names of Al-Fatihah. He says, وَتُسَمَّى الْقُرْآنِ. It is called the mother of the Quran. لأنها أهوت إجمالا ما أهواه القرآن تفصيلا. And Al-Fatihah is summarized, it's a summarization. Al-Fatihah is a summarization of everything that is contained in the Quran in detail. The whole Quran, in other words, the whole Quran is summarized in Al-Fatihah. Therefore it's called Al-Quran, the mother of the Quran. وهي مليئة بالدروس والعبر وتقرير والقواعد الدين وأصول الإيمان. In Al-Fatihah we have أصول الإيمان وأمور الشريعة والأخلاق, things of character, rulings, adab, behavior, and everything else that is contained in Al-Fatihah. As this is a 3-page tafsir, تقريبا 3 or 3.5 pages, but they're whole books. You found a whole book written on Al-Fatihah, the tafsir of Al-Fatihah. You found a book this size. The whole tafsir is on. The whole book is about the tafsir of Al-Fatihah. So this is a summarized. This is summarized, super short, but it fits. This tafsir, it fits the book, as this book is a summarized book. This beginner's book is not meant to be too detailed. That's not the point of Ad-Durus al-Muhimma, important lessons for every Muslim. So with that is the end of Al-Fatihah. The end of the tafsir of Al-Fatihah. And the next surah, which we'll do next week, is Az-Zamzala, the earthquake. But what is mentioned, and we won't go through all of this because it's too detailed, but when it comes to Al-Fatihah, there are some very famous issues in the Saajid fiqhiyya connected to Al-Fatihah. There's a lot of difference of opinion and a lot of things mentioned that he didn't mention here, but we'll just mention for the sake of benefit. The first thing, هل البسملة آية من القرآن? As he said here in the tafsir, that the ayah Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is this an actual ayat in the Quran or not? This is the issue. Is the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is this considered an ayat from the Quran? Huh? Anybody? Sheikh said it's an ayat. Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr says it's an ayat. But there's some issues, some khilaf, some difference of opinion. Everybody doesn't consider it to be an ayat. But the ulama agree that it is an ayat from Surah An-Naml. It is contained in Surah An-Naml, the ant. And it is a portion of the ayat. إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So in this surah, that is a portion, Surah An-Naml. But they disagree. Is it an ayat from Al-Fatihah? As Al-Fatihah has, we know, 7 ayat, right? But it's 7 ayat if you include Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, right? And it's a difference of opinion if Al-Fatihah, if the Basmala is a part of Al-Fatihah or not. وَمِنْ أَوْلِ كُلِّ سُورَةٍ أَمْ لَا. In every surah, we look at the Quran, every surah, at the beginning of the surah, it says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is that Bismillah from the Quran? Is it part of the Quran or not? And this is one issue that the ulama differ on. The ulama differ, and they all have dalil, and this itself goes for about 4 pages of discussion. 4 pages of discussion if the Basmala, if the statement Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is from the Quran or not. Is it a part of the Quran or now outside of Surah An-Naml? We're not talking about Surah An-Naml where it comes in the ayat. We're talking about when it comes at the beginning of the surah, of the different surah. We'll just read the first. The first group of scholars, they say that yes, it is an ayat from Al-Fatihah, and then there's an ayat from kulli surah. Every surah, it is an ayat from every surah. So they consider Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim to be an ayat from every surah. And it's the statement of Imam Shafi rahimahullah. The second group, they say laysat ayah la min al-Fatiha wa la min shay'in min surah al-Quran. The second group, they say it's not from al-Fatiha. And it's not Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. They say it's not from al-Fatiha, and it's not a part of any of the other surahs either. And this is the statement of Imam Malik rahimahullah. The third statement, هي آية تامة من القرآن أنزلت للفصل بين السور وليست آية من الفاتحة. They said it is a complete ayat that was revealed to break up each surah so that you know the beginning of every surah. But they say also that it's not an ayat from Al-Fatihah. This is the statement of Imam Abu Hanifa. Then it goes into each group, their dalil for their statement. And they all have a page worth of dalil from the Quran and from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But we won't go into that, a little deep. This is just mentioning in brief, because sometimes these issues come up. The second one, ما هو حكم قراءة البسملة في الصلاة. Sometimes you might come to pray behind somebody, and the imam, he reads in the beginning of the salah, before he reads Al-Fatihah, he'll say out loud, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, right? And sometimes the imam won't say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, he'll just start with Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, right? So now the question is, which one is correct? Should the imam read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loud with Al-Fatihah, or should he read it silent? And this is another issue. That there are 4 different opinions on this issue. 4 different opinions. 4 different opinions. And they have dalil, and this is not really the job for that to go on everybody's dalil and back and forth. Just to mention that ulama differ on a lot of different things in the religion. And sometimes we make things a point of argument. Sometimes we make something a point of argument when it's not really a point of argument. It's not really that deep. That they all have dalil, and some person, you might see one to be stronger than the other, but you know, there's the option there. If a person has the ability to look at why this scholar said this and why this scholar said that, and they have the ability, they should look at it. So there are 4 different opinions. اختلف الفقهاء في قراءة البسملة في الصلاة. Should the imam, when he begins the salah, should he say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loud so the people could hear him? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Or should he just start with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen? Like what's normal here is the imam starts with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. But there's some people who come here sometimes they leave the salah and they say out loud, they say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. They start like that. Why is that? There's some ulama who say you should do that. There are 4 different opinions. There are 4 different opinions on the issue. Tayyib. We won't go into which one is the most correct. That's a whole dars in itself. The third one, هل تجب قراءة الفاتحة في الصلاة? Is it obligatory? Is it obligatory to read Al-Fatihah in the Salah? Is it obligatory to read Al-Fatihah in the Salah? Tayyib. There are 2 different opinions on this issue. Do you have to read Al-Fatihah? Or can you just read anything from the Quran? You gotta read Al-Fatihah. According to, not according, well, you gotta read Al-Fatihah. It's a condition. Or, I'm sorry, a pillar. Tayyib. According to Sufyan al-Thawri, you don't have to read Al-Fatiha. And Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, they say in as-salat tujzi bidun Fatihat al-kitab ma li isa'a. That some say it's an issue. The Jumhur say that you have to read Al-Fatiha. Point being, it's an issue of khilaf, that it's not something, these are masail fiqhiyya that we shouldn't, it's not something that is really to argue and go at each other's necks about. As the ulama before us differed, going back to the time of Imam Malik, Imam Ahmed, Imam Shafi, Imam Abu Hanifa, going all the way back to even before them, during the time of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and after the Tabi'een. These issues are old issues. But the Jumhur, the Jumhur, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmed, said that you have to read Al-Fatiha, that it is a condition, they say as-salah. So whoever leaves it off, and this is the statement that we know, whoever leaves off and they don't recite Al-Fatiha and they have the ability to do it, then their salat is not valid. And that is the statement of the Jumhur. Like the last issue that we'll mention is هل يقرأ المأمون خلف الإمام. This comes up a lot. Do the people, the followers, the people following the Imam, do the people following the Imam have to read Al-Fatiha? Right? Nah. Tayyib. According to some. Right? There's 3 different opinions on that. Right? 3 different opinions. It's not to say who's right and who's wrong. Right? Not saying you're wrong, not saying anything. Just mentioning the issue that ulama differ, scholars differ. When they differ, they have reasons for differing. When they differ, they have dalil. They have evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah to support what they're saying. They don't just differ because it's something they feel is the best thing to do. They differ based on evidence from the Quran and from the Sunnah. All of these issues that we're mentioning now are connected to Al-Fatiha. Right? Are connected to Al-Fatiha. So on this issue itself, 3 different opinions. Right? With their with the respective dalil that each group has. Tayyib. We won't go into the details of these issues, but it's enough just to mention these are some of the famous issues that usually come up connected to Al-Fatihah. If the Imam is reading, do I have to read behind him? Right? Come in, the Imam is leading Salat, do I have to read Al-Fatihah behind him, or is his Fatihah enough for me? Or do I have to read Al-Fatihah at all? Can I just read something else, or do I have to read Al-Fatihah? Or the Basmalah. Sometimes people say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim out loud, sometimes they don't. Which one is better? Why did the person do it? Is that a bid'ah? As soon as we hear bid'ah, he read Al-Fatihah, he read the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He's supposed to do that. Right? He is supposed to do it, according to some scholars, based on the evidence they have. Some say you should read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim out loud. Some say you shouldn't. So it's enough just to mention these issues, just have a general awareness of the issues, and that there are different scholars who take different positions regarding them. And these are not like scholars of, innovation. These are scholars of the Sunnah. Scholars of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and they differ on these issues. Should a person is the best manaf in the Quran? Now all of these things, some of them are connected to the other. But we'll stop there, and those are just some of the issues connected to Al-Fatihah without going into too much detail. But we'll stop there until next week, and we'll start with Surah Al-Zalzala, the earthquake. Inshallah. Any questions? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
What's the reason why Surah Tawbah start different?
Al-Bara, Surah Al-Bara. We'll do that next week, inshallah. Inshallah. Why is the Basmalah not at the beginning of Surah Tawbah? The only surah that doesn't have Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the beginning of it. Inshallah, we'll do that. At the beginning of, before we move on to the next surah, we'll deal with that, inshallah. Tayyib.